Welcome, everyone. We are delighted to be presenting you with this groundbreaking new technology, Mycelium-based wall panels from Mogu. We're, of course, delighted with our partnership to be the rep for Mogu in Ireland. ARDA agencies, we have a broad range of complementary sustainable products available on our website if anyone wants to check that out. I'm very excited to introduce the founder and business director of Mogu today. Before that, I just want to let you know that if anyone has any questions throughout the presentation, just pop them in the chat window and we will have a Q&A at the end. So without further ado, delighted to introduce to you Serena Camere from Mogu.
Hello, everyone. Nice to meet you, albeit virtually for now, and very excited to be presenting you this novel technology for architecture and interior design. So, Kieran, I think we can directly launch the slides.
Perfect.
And get on with the presentation. So, as Kieran kindly said, I am a founder and business director of Mogu. So I'm also, in the end, I'm also partner of Mogu. I started working with Mogu basically from the beginning and developing this amazing technology that is Mycelium. So Mogu started 10 years ago, almost. So we are going to actually celebrate next week our 10th anniversary, which we are very proud of. We started as a startup company, from really the possibility of actually scaling up Mycelium technology, which is what we are going to talk mainly about today, for different industries. So Mycelium is, for the ones that don't know about Mycelium, is the living organism of mushrooms, actually. Yes, fungi. And Mycelium is essentially like almost like the root system of mushrooms. Correctly saying it's the vegetative stage of mushrooms, so really the living part, while mushrooms are actually the fruiting body. And it is an amazing technology that is available in nature, really, and that nature develops for many, many functions. First of all, for example, is considered to be like the internet of the forest, so the wood wide web, connecting plants and transferring information and nutrients from one plant to the other. Another very important property that has Mycelium in nature is the fire retardant, really the natural fire retardant of the forest, preventing fires to actually spread within the woods. We saw back then, 10 years ago, and not only us, but few other companies in the world, but one of our founders, Maurizio Montalti, saw as a pioneer the possibility to employ Mycelium and to actually partner with nature to create new materials for interior design and architecture and beyond. So over the last 10 years, what we did was essentially to develop this technology, take the technology from nature, being inspired by it, actually cooperating with nature, and implementing it into an industrial process. So trying to kind of standardize always the result of a natural growing process. In a nutshell, what we do at Mogu is that we activate the growth of Mycelium, of the living organism, to recycle waste materials that come from different industries, like, for example, the textile industry, or the agricultural waste, or, for example, hemp production. The Mycelium grows, and by branching the fibers, by branching its cells, really its fungal cells, it creates a composite material all by itself. So it takes the fibers together, the loose fibers together, and wraps them into a composite material, and creates a solid board or a solid block or a solid form in general. So as I said, we start from waste materials. So I think one of the most amazing thing of our technology and Mycelium technology is that not only it is 100% bio-based material, but it has also the possibility to actually recycle waste materials. So sometimes we even call it bio-waste materials. And we really started with the vision of creating a company funded on the principle of circular economy. Back then, 10 years ago, almost no one was speaking about circular economy. And so we are very proud to be, let's say, one of the companies that was founded on these principles. And therefore, taking care of every life stage of the product. And that's why we are here today. So how do we incorporate in interior design a vision of materials and products that can have as an input materials waste, a very minimal waste of virgin resources, or even be based on waste materials that are still durable for the whole lifetime of the products, and that at the end of life can be programmed to be either biodegraded or fully recycled, and not only just 40% or 30% that we see sometimes with some products. So we, thanks to this amazing partnership with the fungus, and truly, even after 10 years, I am still amazed by the fact that the panels behind myself and that surround me nowadays in my everyday life, they were actively produced by mushrooms. So the day before they were not there, and let's say in a week, more or less, a fungus is able to grow one full-scale panel. So how do we incorporate these materials into the living world, into our real world? Our question was, what can they do? What can mycelium materials do for us? And mycelium materials, we have seen that they have amazing added values, like, for example, very good thermal insulation properties, acoustic properties, of course, but they also add a unique aesthetic value to the product. So they are among one of the few bio-based technologies that can create very homogeneous and interesting aesthetics for interior design. And of course, beauty and aesthetics is not just an added value, it's just not something that we put on top, but it is part of what we call comfort in interior design today. So thanks to this technology, we have developed a collection, different collections of products, and our journey is taking us even farther this year. You will see later on this year. We have developed so far a collection of acoustic panels, one of wall panels with acoustic properties, such as very similar to PET felt, for example, and flooring products that are actually dedicated to interior design and residential and workspaces. So our first collection, the acoustic panels, were born from the very basic application of mycelium technology. In this application, mycelium material is put inside a mold, a three-dimensional mold, and grows by, again, taking the fiber, the loose fiber together, and taking exactly the shape of the mold. So mimicking the shape of each mold provided to the mycelium. We have developed a collection so far composed of 5 different shapes, but many different other shapes are possible: a circle, a diamond, whatever shape you would like to create. Although the customization, we are able to customize the shape, we do it normally for projects that are around 20 square meter and upper. And with this, at the end of the growing process, the interesting part, how do we stop the mycelium, and how do we, sometimes we get asked this question quite often. So we stop it by completely drying it out, the material, so that the mycelium will become completely inert and stable, and, for example, will never grow again in your offices. Sometimes I get asked also these questions. At the end of the drying stage, we then finish it according to the specification of the color and that we receive from clients and that are needed in the project. And this special this special coating that we developed is actually essentially the fire needed for the fire retardancy. So the products are not the products are currently certified in class B S2D0. The overall acoustic panels, they are actually 100% bio-based and fully based on circular economy. As I said, we take care also of the end of life. So even with the water-based paint that we apply on top, the panels at the end of their life can be either biodegraded, or they can be taken back from us, grind it up, and fed back to the mycelium. And with only 20% fresh mycelium, the mycelium will regrow the panel completely. When it comes, of course, at Mogu, we envisioned since the beginning that we needed to develop the technology, provide standardization in the outcome of our national technology. But one key factor to provide interior design with a realistic product to apply in projects is actually to provide certifications. So our products are not only they are standardized, but they are also fully certified by independent laboratories. And therefore we have reports from independent laboratories that show the acoustic performance, the thermal insulation value, the fire reaction of our products, and for example, also the VOC emissions factors. But we also worked on another very important aspect, which is the installation systems. So we have developed a few different installation systems for wall applications, ranging from glue to Zeta clip, which is a mechanical fixing system, fully detachable, to Velcro fixing system, or even magnetic. But we also worked a lot over the past years in ceiling applications. Now, first of all, our panels are super light compared to other materials that are normally used in acoustic insulation. So we can either glue them directly to the wall, to the ceiling, or we can also suspend them thanks to these standard commercial profiles that we can also provide together with our products. But as well, they are really commercial profiles typical from the industry. And also as well, of course, one aspect, as I said, is the beauty and aesthetics of the product, which as Italians, we take a lot of care about the design of our products. And again, we went back to our original source of inspiration, which is nature. And we developed a color palette made of 21 colors that are actually really inspired by the natural tones of the forest, of seaside, and so on. And that can represent our vision of interior spaces dedicated to, in the end, a closer relationship with the natural system. Now, the second step for us was actually to develop another collection of products that is even more industrialized and that can also support even more projects in interior design. And that has been envisioned by the collection of Pluma panels, which is a collection of wall panels that are thinner and a little bit less intrusive in the design. We will see later in the scroll of our project, our Realize project, that the acoustic panels are very super nice and super design features. But in certain applications, in certain projects, we need a little bit less intrusive material that has still acoustic properties. And that's why we have seen a lot of, for example, applications from materials like PET felt or other materials similar like that. The Pluma panels offer a similar application in the sense that they are wall-to-wall elements that can cover larger portions of the wall and only occupy 2 centimeters. We have also other thicknesses, so 3 and 4 centimeters, but generally we commercialize the 2 centimeters thickness. And the interesting part is that thanks to the development in the technology, we can now customize the texture and the shape, therefore, after the production of the mycelium board. So the shape is actually impressed in the mycelium through compression. And therefore, we can also much more easily customize the texture and the shape. And for example, we could even impress logos or personalize really the pattern of the aesthetics for even minimal quantities, because the mold to impress, the technology allows for a very high economy efficiency. economic efficiency. So we are able to actually do it for a very small scale project even. At the moment, our panels actually are ranging in size from a very small size, 50 by 50, to actually 60 by 1.2 meters. We also are actually upscaling the dimension, and we are now able to produce panels with 1.6 by 1.2 meters, so almost 2.2 square meters per panels. Again, on the Pluma panels, we have worked with the same techniques of the finishing as for the acoustic panels, but we even took it further, and we developed a new coating recently called Kiwi, that is actually an amazing coating that is made with recycled wool garments. So it is 100% certified recycled wool that has been shredded down, powderized, and sprayed over the surface. The beauty of this new finishing is that it not only gives a super soft surface that is very similar to, it's a little bit similar to wool, but you can really feel almost like if you take the kiwi fruit and you feel that surface that is a little bit, how to say, well, like the kiwi, really. And it is, but not only it has this nice effect about a sort of textile-like effect, but it has also an increased durability to scratch and impact resistant. And that's amazing because you take a fully bio-based and waste-based material and you make it fully durable for even high impact situations like very trafficked areas or very narrow, for example, corridors in which maybe people bump into with backpacks or luggages. And the Kiwi solution is available with its own color palette, also again, soon to be displayed on the website. It's a new introduction, but it's a really appreciated by our customer because it solves, it provides a very unique aesthetics in interior design projects. Again, with the Pluma panels, we worked a lot about fixing system to simplify the installation, especially since it is meant for a large amounts of square meters to be put on the wall. But again, the Pluma panels compared to the acoustic panels, they do offer one unique opportunity, which is the one to be combined into standard false ceiling systems. So they can have the same size of the standard false ceiling systems and just very simply be installed by pushing it into the false ceiling grid system. And this is a chance to, for example, renovate with a spark of color or a little bit of design textured into these typical ceiling systems whenever we cannot, let's say, replace them because they are not in the end super trendy. This is just, I now would like to show you just a recent overview of our completed project. For example, this one, we really loved it. It is actually headquarters from Opus Dei in Rome, and that they asked us to actually develop a custom texture that is going to be added in our catalog right now. That is a version of our standard breeds texture, but with the arches, and created this very beautiful effect. In other cases, for example, we cutted the Pluma panels with a specific shape to create a little bit more play of color. Or we worked, for example, on a spatial ceiling installation with wooden frames, like in this project with the kite. We did a lot of projects, for example, everywhere in the world. This one is in Shanghai, actually for the company Unity with M. Moser. Or, for example, in the prestigious headquarters of Kering Group in Paris. But we also did very interesting applications in Natural Science Museum. This was actually one of our very first completed projects, 100 square meter for ceiling application. And it's still rocking after 5 years now, actually. or other offices in Milan. This peculiar one is actually a specific product that is called Foresta, and it is a system combined with wood elements that actually creates a gap from the wall. And it has been co-developed with Arup, winning even the German Design Award. So just to move forward, these are only really a few of the last projects completed. One, for example, project that, of course, for us, it has been a milestone project, a flagship project, really, has been the Dutch pavilion at the Expo in 2021 in Dubai, in which we completed the supply of 400 square meters of acoustic panels and 700 square meters of flooring products. In this flagship project, the most interesting part, I think, was really the dome that is pictured in this slide. And here we see that the products have been applied in this dome with 16-meter high, completely covering it, at 90% humidity, because inside the dome there was a shower of rain running every 10 minutes. And yet, even with this percentage of humidity, our products lasted and perfectly over the 10 months of the installation. The last bit of our product collection, but one which we are very proud of, is dedicated to resilient flooring. Now, the flooring industry is probably one of the latest, the last ones at innovating and moving towards sustainability. Developing a flooring product is much more challenging than acoustic panels, because flooring is something that we give almost for granted in our interior design, but can actually make the difference in the aesthetics and also in the performances of, for example, a workspace design. We developed the product, again, together based on our principles of circular economy. We started 6 years ago, and we are now successfully on the market with the flooring product since 3 years. It is a product that offers it's completely VOC-free, it is solvent-free, and depending on the product, whether rolls or tiles, it is up to 95% bio-based, which is an amazing content. It is, of course, certified and suitable for high traffic areas. And in fact, we have completed many projects, especially in retails. And of course, it has all the certifications compared to fire rating, safety and hazard to slip resistance, chemical resistance, stain resistance, scratch resistance. We have a full data sheet with all the products. So the product essentially was born by the possibility to actually create a waste-based product as an alternative to standard raw materials. It is called nowadays the Floor Flex, and it is available both in rolls and in tiles. And the formulation is made essentially, the interesting part is that we use as a waste material, as a waste filler, we use oyster shells, which are actually not only oysters, because there are not enough oysters eaters in the world to actually create oyster waste, but it is a mix of seashells that are over-accumulating in the oceans because of global warming, and also because of fish farming industry. So there is a huge amount of these waste seashells that are widely available and laying on seashores and causing also eutrophication and desertification. Therefore, there is an existing value chain recollecting these seashells, and it is an amazing material that is actually pure calcium carbonate, perfect for flooring. That means that it can help with fire retardancy in the product, but also rigidity. From this amazing material, we developed this product that is actually made with seashells. So you can see a little bit of sparkly inside and a little bit dotted texture that really come from the seashells, but also from sustainable raw materials that are made from, for example, vegetable oils and other renewable resources, amounting to up to 70% bio-based resources. Here you can see, for example, in the white one, the salt and pepper is much more visible. And yes, it is resistant also to dogs, as you have seen. So nowadays, our flooring collection has inside raw materials like 2.5 millimeters. So compared to standard PVC rolls or rubber flooring, it has a very high slip resistance ratio. So already by itself R10, and with a further top coating, it can become R11. For floor tiles, we have actually, as floor tiles, we have combined our flex products, so the top layer, the 2.5 millimeters layer, with a substrate of cork materials that is actually enhancing also the impact sound insulation, so avoiding the sound transmission between one floor and another, and also improving, of course, the thermal efficiency of a building. And of course, again, here we have taken, and we keep on doing it, we keep on improving the properties of our products and measuring them every time we do a production. There is a continuous R&D ongoing to keep on innovating our products. As I said, these are actually the oyster shells. So compared to we used the oyster shells as actually a contributor to the color development of our products. So the shells have a color. And from there, we actually developed another color palette that is, of course, also in combination with our acoustic panels, made of 21 colors. So in this way, you can go, basically, you can design a space. Theoretically, our idea was to really provide solutions from flooring to wall to ceiling that are coordinated in colors and design. And with the flooring, of course, the track record of projects is very important. It's key to support the choice, of course, of architects and designers, and to promote the choice with clients. So we had a few cases, especially last year, especially in retails. We had a lot of success in which, for example, we have seen this project that is made with Reebok in Milan, a concept store, or, for example, the temporary pavilion from Gao in Milan Design Week last year. Offices, like, for example, the one from Miro in Amsterdam, or a very cool, actually, shop in Bristol with the Sweaty Betty brands. That is a very interesting brand focused on sustainability and materials. And again, an interesting case has been probably the first very big project with our flooring product has been the Dutch Dubai Pavilion, in which we installed 700 square meters of flooring tiles. And in that case, we could really see the impact of high traffic areas. So because our flooring in that case has been walked over by thousands of people every day. Or other cases such as the Nespresso Lausanne, in Lausanne, the Nespresso boutique, or even very recently at Workspace Design Show last year, a temporary space with Gensler in London. So with this, I stop here my presentation, but I would like to continue with Kieran for a little bit Q&A.
Thank you, Serena. That was amazing, very interesting and exciting. I don't know if you can see, but we have plenty of really great questions coming through.
No, I haven't seen.
Oh, okay. Yeah, no, there's great activity here, and we're going to get to those questions. And if you don't mind, just before we start the questions, would you be able to share just a little bit about your background and, you know, what inspired you to pursue your, you know, Mycelium as a career? It'd be great to hear.
Yeah, of course. So I am actually an industrial designer by training, and I think that's actually quite unique from Mogu, that we have two designers, me and Maurizio, together with other, of course, expertise, and we are in the founding members of the company. And this is somehow shaping really the vision behind Mogu, of course, with other contributions. like, for example, waste management or valorization of waste for circular economy. But my background has been always based on the intersection of really expertise, so between industrial design, engineering, architecture, and with a key passion for materials. I have been always in love with materials, worth and sustainability, of course. Even back then, when I graduated, I actually graduated with a thesis on the imperfection and the beauty of plastic, trying to actually modify plastic bases and products, common bases and products, to make them a little bit more unique and therefore something to keep forever, actually, from generation to generations. That was my master thesis back then, when no one was speaking about sustainability. And then when after graduation and after I did a PhD in material design, and I was then called for this project on fungi in the Netherlands, in TU Delft, with Mogu, with the baby born Mogu, actually.
Wow, that's really interesting. Great.
On top of this, I'm a hunter by myself, by the childhood. So always passionate in fungi as well.
Brilliant. Amazing. Very exciting to see this this new development. And on that note, I suppose, where do you see this going in terms of trends that are shaping the industry? Do you see Mycelium taking over?
Well, it is still, well, we are growing very fast, of course. We have seen a steady increase, a rapid increase actually last year, and many more requests even. And in fact, our production capacity is scaling equally rapidly to support all the market requests that we are getting nicely. We're very happy about it. So right now we are at 200 square meter per week production rate, but very soon we will be delivering projects in generally 8 weeks, more or less. This is true for Acoustic, to Pluma, to flooring products. But generally we have a plan to upscale our production for the really mid of this year for 5 per times the production rate.
Okay, fantastic. Great. Well, without further ado, I think we can get to some of the viewer questions now. I'm going to see if I can bring one up here. The first one. Let's have a quick look. So from Marcelo.
Nice.
Substrate, yeah, very detailed, nice question there for you. Will I read it out just to give you? So does it make a difference? Does the substrate make a difference in the resistance and the cohesion of the material, e.g. sawdust or hemp fibers? Or is the mycelium the main component that gives the cohesion to the composite?
It's actually both. Definitely the substrate has the biggest role. There is actually a very nice scientific paper, actually our very first paper, the project I mentioned after my PhD, that proves that. But also in my experience, hands-on the material, also the mycelium and the growth rate, so how long you extend the growth, other parameters in the growing process that you can control have an effect. Generally speaking, mycelium has a lot of interesting properties like insulation, compression, acoustic insulation. Tensile strength is not the best solution inside, because in nature, mycelium has not been developed to be extremely resistant to traction, So it is fascinating to see that, for me, that nature can solve many, as a very detailed efficiency in developing a technology, But for example, Mogu, we have engineered a lot our biological protocol, and we are now working with mainly, after selecting actually more than 300 different compositions, So 100 fungal species and 200 more or less substrates. We have engineered in the end one protocol. Of course, we can also use others, but we mainly use really one protocol that gives us the best properties in terms of mechanical resistance and aesthetics and acoustic.
Okay, great. Next question is from Lucia, if I'm pronouncing that correctly. So what is the drying temperature that you can use on these types of materials?
It's actually a very low temperature. It's 50 to 70 degrees in varying cycles. So it's not heating all the time, but it's actually ventilating and heating, ventilating and heating.
Okay, great. The next question is a very common one that you've I know put a lot of research into. So it's about the mycelium smell.
Yes, thank you for this amazing question, because indeed mycelium materials have a peculiar smell, generally speaking. I'm not speaking about our products necessarily, but generally speaking, they used to have a very peculiar smell. It is something that Mogu has put a lot of efforts, and finally we are able to do to say that we overcame this. This is not, for me, it was never a bad smell, but it is true that we are used in interior design to have neutral smells. And also that in workplace design, because it is sort of public space in the end, that you don't know who enters the room, maybe you need to host, clients, other people. So it is true that you need a neutral smell, because smell is such a subjective factor in the end. So I had many customers saying in the past that they love the smell of our products because it reminds them of hay. And I had also other comments in which they didn't like at all the smell. So we took the chance to go back into the lab and find a solution that was, reliable. And we found a very good one, very good synergy by adding something inside the mycelium material that actually makes the smell of the end product completely neutral, or if not neutral, really pleasant. So we are very happy with this.
Okay, great. Yeah, no, it's an interesting one, the smell, because you'd walk into one room and people they don't want any smell, but then you do often get people as well who actually like the smell, and it gives a feeling of sustainability with the natural mycelium smell. So yeah.
And if you think about it, food has a smell, and even plastic has a smell, right? But it's just that we are so used and we normalize these type of smells inside the spaces. So I also think, honestly, that there will be, it's also a fact that mycelium materials are so innovative that they kind of alert our system our smell is really, for the central nervous system, is really like the alert system. So we immediately, when we smell something new, it's like, ooh, what's that? And we are immediately alerted. And that's the factor that I think also in years to come will completely fade away. But as I said, at the moment, we anyway looked at what we could do to accelerate, the process, and therefore neutralize completely the smell from really inside the growing process. So the additive is not just something that is put on top on the outside, but really inside and during.
Okay, great. Next question from Ezgi is acoustic insulation the only feature, or are there other features of the panels?
Well, generally, our products have been developed for acoustic insulation, so as really specific to the segment. But I think one of the most interesting, actually complementary features of the panels are the thermal insulation, because this really, the mycelium panels have better insulating properties than cork. And the insulation properties in offices means, very put simply, energy saving. So it's cost efficiencies for clients, but also energy savings and sustainability savings in general for everyone.
Fantastic. Okay. And the next question is kind of on the same lines from Sandro regarding the gap, and I think Sandro here is referring to the Foresta system.
Also, I think I'm my back, I think.
And behind you, yeah, absolutely, the fields as well. Yeah.
Mm.
So
Yeah,
I think
it does, of course, because it creates more surface on the for the refraction of the sound wave. So the sound wave bounces and enters the panels not only from the surface in the front, but also it can be trapped inside the gap and bounce from one side to the other of the panels. So definitely it does help. By the way, this design, the fields design, has been inspired. I don't know, well, you don't see it, but you will see it from the catalog. It is inspired by actually patches of the different patches of lands, cultivated lands, like the tulip fields in the Netherlands. So the gap actually represents the canal, actually, aesthetically speaking.
nice. That's really nice. I like that. Great. And then the next question is about outdoor, putting it outdoors, basically. So, is there potential to use this on external facades, I wonder?
Well, it's a tricky one. I would let's say, of course, facade design is very impactful in architecture and interior design. So we would really and especially I could see a strong application for Mycelium replacing PU foam that is currently widely used in sandwich panels for facade application. By itself, with simply coating like wood, for example, I think it will be possible in the future, but it is still a little bit far ahead in the future. So we are looking into other possibilities, like for example, combining the Pluma panels with wood on top, or combining it with another coating. And actually, we have just completed a project for the Osaka Expo, World Expo 2025. It will open this April, in which they are using 160 square meters of our Pluma panels for the outdoor facade of the pavilion of Germany. So it will be an amazing project covered completely with Mycelium panels on the outdoor application with, of course, a special hydrophobic coating. But this project is very special because it is a temporary application. So only, again, 8 months, even if in Osaka, which they have monsoons. So come on, we are very proud that we will have our products there. But still, I see for a really durable product and ensure the lifetime of, I don't know, 50 years or even 100 years, like in facade. That is, I think we will need a combination with another material to explore the potential of Mycelium for facade.
Okay, that's really interesting. And I suppose, of course, the hydrophobic coating would counteract the sustainability element, so it's better avoided.
Yeah, although you can still, when you if you put, of course, an entire panel inside the field and you with the hydrophobic coating, yes. But if you, on the other hand, grind up everything together, then there is still the opportunity to regrow the panels with our Mycelium technology. So that is less, of course, problematic to handle in the long term. But at the same time, yes, it's not. Hydrophobic coatings are the opposite of really, let's say, bio-based or circular or biodegradability.
Right. And out of curiosity, how long is the installation in Osaka expected to be there for?
10 months in total.
10 months. Okay. So that's a good test.
Yes.
Anyway.
And I believe, I don't remember exactly, but I think 80 centimeter of rain in July expected. Something like this.
Great.
We will see.
So you'll have a look in August at how it's doing.
Of course, we did a lot of testing before.
Yeah. Okay. Great. So next question from Bhakti is, about the durability and lifespan of the products.
Okay. So as I said, we strongly believe that, of course, we want to create circular products, but circular for us means also durable. Durable to the expected life expectancy, the life cycle, expected life cycle. So there is, first of all, I would like to say that in interior design, often we are looking for materials like PVC that have basically an infinite lifetime. But in fact, our interior designs with workplace design, retail, they have such a short lifetime actually. After 3 or 7 years or 10 years maximum, they get renovated. And that is all trash that just goes into the landfill, and that's it. So it is a matter for me to program more, like really program the life according to the cycle that it needs to uptake. But for that life expected, it needs to be durable. The acoustic panels and the Pluma panels, if correctly installed and maintained, they are actually perfectly durable for, I don't know, 10 years. I mean, they don't have an intrinsic degradability. Of course, there might be, depending on the product, some sensibility for the acoustic and Pluma for scratches and impact if you push it. But that's why we developed, for example, the Kiwi product, because that is much more resistant to damages, potential mechanical damage. But UV resistance, heat resistance, general life, it's just as a normal product, really. When it comes to the flooring products, of course, flooring needs to undergo and sustain many more strong performances. So walking, abrasion, cleaning, chemicals, So I would say that our flooring products at the moment that can definitely last for 10 years. Most probably we are doing more aging tests to verify if this can be further extended. And by the way, we warrant our products for 5 years. Every product is at least guaranteed for 5 years. For the flooring, we can do, for example, we did with other clients, but we can do an extended warranty program.
Great. Okay. Thank you. The next question is regarding patents or patents.
Mm-hmm.
So how are you currently navigating the patent landscape for Mycelium composite products? There's a mention there of another company I'm not personally aware of.
No, so Ecovative has been one of, together, I would say, with us, but it has been probably together with MyCoWorks, the first 2 pioneers in the world for mycelium materials, mycelium technology, and really Mogu, the founder of Mogu, Maurizio, started basically in the same years. Well, simply put, we are in a very good, very, very good relationship with Ecovative because we started back then with them almost. So we have no problem with the patents. We are actually in a very favorable agreement with them that we reached very early in the beginning. And then we, at the same time, we have our own technology. So of course, the basic patent of the Ecovative covers everything, but we are using our own technology. And the other thing I would say is that, Ecovative patent is gonna actually expire, I think, in less than 2 years. So for the next generation of mycelium companies, which I hope there will be many, this opens up a very big opportunity.
Okay, that's a really interesting question, that one. Great. Next question from Isabella. How do you create a homogeneous layer of mycelium aesthetically?
Well, that's so the flooring is not mycelium. The flooring, the aesthetic is provided actually by the oyster shells and our formulation, so produced really in a totally different way from mycelium. The homogeneity in mycelium production is something that Mogu has achieved and developed over the years, and it was not so easy. A lot of it comes from really our biological protocol that we have defined over the first 3 years. So the work that we have done in the very early 3 years of Mogu has been exactly technology development and finding the right biological protocol. And it is really, mainly provided by the combination between our substrate and the fungus that we use.
Great. Now, a question from Falco. He's looking for pricing. So he can email the main email address on the Mogu website. Is that correct?
Yes, but generally I can tell you that it's not a mystery. The pricing is the best one that we can offer, right, Kieran? The best one for bio-based materials, for sure. And it ranges depending, for acoustic panels is between, I would say 150 to 140 to 190 euro per square meter. Depends a little bit on the model, the finishing, but more or less is around there. And of course it ranges depending on the quantities. And then, for example, for the Pluma panels, instead it is a little bit lower, from 100 euro per square meter to 140 euro per square meter, depending on the thickness in this case, mainly. But with this question, I'm happy to answer also that we are now scaling up our production process so much that we are now able to reduce a little bit the cost and be able to offer, especially, of course, for volumes and projects, that we can offer a little bit more cost-efficient solutions, and therefore it's not that we want to just sell out our panels, but we really want to make mycelium materials accessible for projects, and because without economic affordability, in the end there is a bottleneck between actually implementing sustainability in projects. And instead, we really want to push the use of sustainable materials and invest in our technology to be upscaling it, and therefore, improve our production cost and therefore also the price to the customers.
Okay, great. We have a few questions here that I believe have already been answered. So I'm sorry to the people who've asked questions. I'm not going to bring them up if we've already answered them. I have a question here, perhaps interesting one, about mycelium bricks. Something buildable, maybe a modular mycelium block they're suggesting. Is that in the pipeline, or is
so if you mean, for example, structural application of mycelium, that is it is an interesting aspect, but at the same time, I believe it is, again, like for facade, it is still takes us still a little bit before we can enter into that phase for mycelium technology. For the foam insulation between walls or slabs, we have been exploring it in the past, but so far there are some properties that are yet to be resolved.
Okay, great. And then, so sorry, I can click to bring it up. I don't have to read it. From this viewer, what kind of coating is used to protect? So the hydrophobic coating you mentioned for Osaka, that this question, I guess, is about.
It is a water-based coating that is used on wood. Now, honestly, I wasn't in the technical development team of the hydrophobic coating, and it also was suggested by the architect, and it worked really well, but it is a water-based coating. Okay. Not a component, it's quite sustainable as a coating, of course.
Fantastic, okay. Now this one from Despina. So is the flex flooring product advisable for interiors with high foot traffic and frequent movement of heavy duty industrial shelving? Specifically, what is the weight capacity?
So we didn't test it for industrial spaces, so I'm not sure. High foot traffic, yes, but we have tested it only until the residual indentation and the type W of the castor chair. So I think it's office chairs, really, mainly. So I'm not so sure about. We would need to conduct more tests about the heavy duty industrial shelving movement. It depends, really. I know for certainty that the flooring can stand 150 kilos per cubic centimeter or square centimeter, can't remember. So that has been the test.
Okay, and then Despina had a follow-up question, which I think you covered there, but is there any castor types that would not be compatible?
Well, we tested it for type W. W.
Yeah. Okay, great. I'm trying to.
But just to mention, Kiran, if again, for example, there are a lot of tests that we are going to conduct this year. For example, like biological resistance or antibacterial properties with a new coating to apply it in hospitals and for example other healthcare environments. So if there is a project and the specific property that is needed and maybe the project timeline allows, we are happy to be contacted by architects to just to make sure. Maybe it is a simple test and the property is already there.
Okay, great. Here's an interesting question about the species of mushroom and allergic potential for allergic.
Okay. Well, the mushrooms can only provoke allergies and allergic reactions only in two ways, actually. One is generally inhalation or ingestions. And of course, there is no spore emission or emission from our composite material or our panels that can provoke any allergic reaction, and that this is certified by the VOC testing. And the second is that way could be that very rarely the materials on the contact, like touching on the skin, could provoke some allergic reactions. But because at Mogu we also produce in another division leather for the fashion industry, we have tested a lot actually the allergic reaction from skin contact, and it is zero, of course. So no possibility at all.
Fantastic. Okay. Here's a question from Laura. What are you hoping to develop next? What's the next challenge?
Well, we have a couple of products in the pipeline that are going to be released this year, and we are very excited about because they are not, these ones are not mycelium based, but they are still based on the principle, the circular economy principles and the vision of Mogu. It is very exciting. We applied our know-how to develop a new product. I'm very personally excited about the kiwi finish and to expand on that possibility, because the kiwi and the durability of the kiwi finish, so the wool, recycled wool coating, gives us the possibility to develop also furniture elements like dividers, standing dividers, desk dividers, or for example other applications in furniture. For example, like bars and other things. So that's really exciting for me.
Wow.
Equally exciting for the flooring. For example, we are looking into the wall application of the flooring, of the flex rolls. That could be an alternative to standard, of course, PVC put on walls, and also resins, because it really looks a little bit like a warm stone.
Wow, sounds really exciting. We are hitting the 1 hour mark, but there's a few more questions here, and anyone who has to leave, they can come back and watch the recording. If it's okay with you, Serena, we can run through the last few questions and
Yes.
maybe go over the hour a little bit.
Of course.
Okay, great. So the next question is from Natalia. How can you coat the panels? Is it natural, or you can see the question, coatings with dye or paint?
So we are using actually a water-based intumescent paint, which is not 100% natural. I'm just gonna clear out every let's say, how do you say, clear out any idea about it, because you know, as a company, as a startup company, we have looked for bio-based coating a lot, but there is no really good and strong and industrial solution for fire retardancy. We really need, we have found a very good synergy with this water-based intumescent coating, because it is not a very high percentage of chemicals inside. It is only about, I think, 15-20% chemicals inside, and the rest is just basically extract like other powders that are maybe, for example, coming from extract mineral powders, let's say, and then water content is 70% basically. So it is a very sustainable. It's certified as VOC free, so it is very sustainable, and it provides the right class for fire application, for fire resistance, class B S2D0.
Okay, great. The next question here from Red Sponges. How do you solve the problem of rising energy prices? Do you use any special technology to heat the mycelium?
Well, actually, no. We use just a normal dryer for a wood application for the wood industry, but it is 100% sourced on renewable resources, sourced from Italy. So we are, I mean, fully renewable as electricity. We try, yes, to minimize the use of the dryer, so to keep the drying time very short. And of course, maximize instead the volume of products put inside the dryer than we put inside the dryer. That is easier when you have a continuous production, obviously.
Okay, great. Question from Sandro concerning cooperations for design of new products. So, are you open to cooperating with designers?
Well, yes, of course. We have done it in the past. Like, for example, the kite project comes from one designer. With Arup, we developed the Foresta system. Yes, of course, we are always open. Generally speaking, it depends, of course, if it fits into the product portfolio, not to raise expectations too much, because we are still a startup, so we cannot, unfortunately, commit on investing in many different products immediately. But generally, we really appreciate proposals from designers.
Great. Okay, and here's another good question, I think. Apart from through drying, how do you prevent mold?
How do we prevent mold from on the mycelium? It's only drying that can do that. So we need to dry out the water nicely and deactivate completely the material. And then if you put it outside and you don't want any mold formation on it, then a coating is necessary.
Oh yeah, once it's completely dry, there is no propensity for life to grow. Is that right?
In interior design, no, not even without coating. So if you take a fully dry mycelium piece and it is not coated and you put it on a normal wall, this will not affect, mold will never form on it for sure. But if you put it on in the soil outside, at a certain point it will start biodegrading. So of course.
Yeah, but because the moisture will eventually get in, basically.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah.
So on the outside, you definitely need a coating.
Okay. Do you select the fungi stains yourself?
Yes, we have actually one of our first employees has been a mycologist who has been also doing a PhD in really developing mycelium, of course, from fungi, and he's the one actually taking care of our myco bank inside Mogu. So it is also true that we also collaborated with a couple of universities, like world experts in mycelium science, in fungal science. So, for example, University of Utrecht with Dr. Han Woodston and the University of Pavia.
Okay, great. Interesting question about the USA from Cindy.
Mm-hmm.
Any plans to open a production unit over there?
Well, not yet. Actually, to be honest, the USA market is still, we are still looking into the right partnerships, and but we are discussion undergoing. So we are very happy and confident that we can build actually a little bit better the overseas market. So far at Mogu, we had to focus our energy mainly in Europe because, of course, limiting our focus is essential. But we have done also very nice projects in the US. So we are looking into expanding. When the market grows a little bit, we have already, it's not really opening or building a production plant ourselves, but we have a couple of cooperation opportunities that we are looking into exploring. And definitely in order to minimize as much as possible the logistics and transportations. But rather than really growing our materials there, there are also other things we can do to minimize the logistics and make the product more accessible.
Okay, great. Question here about the process. So, you know, if you could maybe just talk us through the process again in a brief summary, I suppose.
Yeah,
So,
well, there's a very nice video to share on our website if you want to check it out later on. Maybe it's in the About section. And I think it's linked also in my presentation if you're going to share the slides. But anyway, so basically what we do is that we take the fibers of hemp and cotton. We inoculate the mycelium. So we take basically, let's say, mycelium seeds, more or less, we can say that. The mycelium actually starts spreading the cells, okay, and creates a really like a network of fungal cells at the microscale that they then grow so tight together that they basically fuse and create a board together. Sawdust, you can use it as a substrate to mycelium, but mycelium is really like tiny branches. You have to imagine them like tiny branches that they grow at the nano and micro scale of the product. And then they wrap around, also they create a skin that wraps around these fibers, and the skin outside is super strong. So if I push this, it is like a spongy material. Probably, Kiran, you can also, you have seen it also, right, from our materials and our products.
Absolutely, and I mean, visiting the production room really obviously helps to understand the process and to see. I mean, it really starts in a lab, in a laboratory, right? To produce the actual, or to cultivate the mycelium itself, and then it gets added to the textile waste. That's my less informed brain talking.
Yeah.
Maybe I can dumb it down for people.
But I think the easier is to just check the video on the website because it shows really like the mycelium spreading and wrapping around the fibers.
Yes, consuming the fibers as well.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, so somebody asked a question there about your PhD.
Mm-hmm.
And Oh, here we go. Isabella, where did you do your PhD?
Well, I studied in Polytechnic of Milan, everything, so master and PhD. But then I did my postdoc in TU Delft, and also the PhD was sort of in collaboration with the TU Delft Department of Design and Engineering.
Okay, great. I think on that note, we can, let me just bring this up here. I think it's nice time to wrap it up. I'm sorry if we didn't get to your question, anyone who asked the question and they don't feel it was answered, but feel free to shoot us an email afterwards if you feel something could be clarified better. We will definitely be running more webinars like this. I think, Serena, we have a plan to do one that's a little bit more focused on the flooring next time. Is that right?
Yeah, exactly.
So that'll be the next one. So make sure you stay tuned. We will follow up, of course, by email. And if you want to subscribe, you'll get notified as well about the next event. We also will be running other events with complementary products that are also sustainable interior solutions. So you can stay tuned for those. And I suppose the best thing to bring up as the finale is a lovely message from the Mogu HQ to thank everyone very much for your time and for participating. It's been amazing questions, great engagement, and we're all very excited about a sustainable future with Mycelium. Thank you, Serena.
Thank you, Kieran. It was lovely. And thank you for organizing this. You've been an amazing host. So thanks.
Thank you. I appreciate that. So until next time, we will say goodbye.
Bye-bye.
Bye.